Today I'm here with Elizabeth Gunz, a member of the board of the Austin Venezuelan Association and an immigrant from Venezuela herself. Today we're going to talk about her experiences with the AVA and what's going on in Venezuela. So Ms. Gunz, tell me about your time in Venezuela.
Well, I've lived all my life in Venezuela. Was not born there, but was born here in the States, but raised in Venezuela. So I did study there, from school to university, everything over there. It was a very nice time to grow up in Venezuela because it was a booming country. It was a country where you could do everything, anything, develop. Money was fluent very, very much, thanks to oil. So, and that is, I think, one of the reasons why we're where we are right now. So it was very nice. My young years were very nice, and I think for everybody that you ask, they will say the same thing.
All right, so you make it sound very pleasant, but obviously today we're in quite a different situation.
Right.
So how did we get into this situation? How did we reach the status quo of...
Too much money.
Too much money?
That's one of the things, and corruption that takes to have too much money. Everybody wants to be a governor, a president. Everybody wants to have a piece of the cake. So I think that is the reason why we're like we are right now. I don't think that it was also, that's my personal opinion. Venezuela was very much a leader in South America. So probably there weren't some interest over there as well.
Right. So Venezuela, it got worse, obviously.
Since we came out, yes.
Right. But before you came out, how was it? Like, were you seeing the decline happen already?
Right. And it is because of the corruption in the democratic political life in Venezuela. The difference between the social classes, how would you say?
Yeah.
It started to be bigger, probably.
Right.
But still, you did have a middle class. You did have a booming middle class that could travel outside of Venezuela, give a good education to the kids. Lower level was also able to do so. I mean, whatever you work with, you were able to buy things and to live well. So, of course, there's always people that will say, okay, you have more than me, and why I'm not. And that happens everywhere. It's just that because people started to be more and more proactive on the saying that, why do you have more than me? Then this leader came out, Chavez, and a lot of the people from the lower class saw them reflect in Chavez because he was coming from a little town and not very well educated. He was a military during the dictatorship that we had in Venezuela now 50 years ago, not counting. I mean, counting these 20 years with this dictatorship, but Venezuela had a period of 40 years with democracy. So before that, there were dictatorship, and there are some people that used to remember that dictatorship time good. So I think different things came together, and that's the reason why he started to be like active in the political life.
Right. So over time, you saw this kind of stratification between the classes. They became increasingly separated.
Well, now it's worse.
Right.
Now it's worse. There's no middle class right now. There is poor or rich. And the rich is the people that it's with the government right now, and everybody else is not. And it doesn't matter if you have to have a lot of money in order to buy the most basic things. the most basic things. I mean, you can't buy coffee or if you don't have a lot of money. When I'm saying a lot, it's something that it won't, I don't even understand because we haven't been there for the last 17 years and it's getting worse and worse and worse with that time, as the time pass.
All right. So you left Venezuela 17 years ago. What pushed you to make the decision to move to America?
My husband.
Your husband?
Yeah, he saw that this chaos kind of coming. He thought that it was good to give it a try. And then if Chavez went and if nothing happened, well, maybe we can go back. And it was just something different to do. Or unfortunately, it wasn't like that. And we stayed here and we waited and we just stay here because it is very difficult to live there. It's very dangerous to live there. And the dangers, and when I say difficult, it's difficult because of that. You can't get the basic things unless you have tons of money.
Right.
And so it's not worth it. And to also risk your life, because then you have a lot of money, then you risk your life on the part of being abducted or robbed or something like that.
Right. So the crisis in Venezuela, it seems to only be getting worse. How do you see the people in Venezuela reacting to what their government is doing?
Well, that's kind of a difficult question because there is people that they still believe that the government can resolve the problem. The government is blaming United States and the developed countries about sanctions. The sanctions are not to the country. They're only for the flowing money that the government has, not to be used in personal things, but to be used just for the people. So that is more or less what the sanctions want to go. The problem is, if you put it in a different perspective, then it is that the people is the one that is getting the problem. So it depends upon a few.
Right. So I'm interested, compared to how it is now, what did the government of Venezuela look like when you decided to leave?
It was still democratic.
All right.
It was still, I mean, we had elections. We even went to vote here in Houston in the Venezuelan consulate for the election, so for president. So there was still, for the first probably 5 years, it was still democracy. After that, it went down and developed into this dictatorship that we have. Right. And it's dictatorship because there is not freedom of speech, there is not freedom of journalism, there is no freedom to protest for anything, there is not freedom to buy anything because you have to kind of ask permission to the government to buy it. They even have now a card that you need to present to see if you belong to the party, for the government party, and then they will sell you the things. So that is why it's a dictatorship, and it's totally different. It used to be a country, a regular country with a democracy where you could talk, where you can leave, where you can buy whatever you wanted. If I want it expensive, I can buy expensive. If I want cheap, I can buy it cheap. I mean, it was regular.
All right.
And we have different brands, and we had everything. Right now, you don't.
All right. So since you've moved to Austin, because we're in Austin right now doing this interview, and you're involved with the Austin Venezuelan Association, can you kind of talk about how your involvement with that came about?
Since the beginning, when I got here, I started to look up for Venezuelans here in Austin, just because it was very difficult, the transition, especially because we didn't have family or friends or job when we moved over. So I started to look up. The Austin Venezuelan Association was there already. It didn't have a lot of, not saying, but a lot of members, starting with that, because there were only like 50 Venezuelans here in Austin. Right now, we're close to 4,000. So it's a little bit. We did a referendum that it was all over the world to see if we could get rid of this government that we had. And we had the signature of 2,000 people. So, and that was Austin, and going from San Marcos to, let's say, Waco, more or less. I mean, so it is the big Austin, let's say. We did a very good organization to do that referendum, that signature, that collection of signatures. And so judging like that, and that was 2 years ago, or a year and a half ago, and judging for that, more or less, we should be about 4,000 people, Venezuelans. We do have a webpage, we have a WhatsApp chat. We help each other in whatever things that we can, like referring doctors, schools, anything that people would need. Every day there is somebody new asking for something, from where to get the food to where to get the insurance, or, I mean, and all the questions that you can have in between. So that's what we do. We do gatherings, so people will still feel like they have somebody that they can count on, because it is difficult to move to another country, another language, another structure of organization of country. So there is a lot of associations in the world right now from Venezuela in different countries, because Venezuela, and that's one thing, Venezuelans, we were not used to immigrate. We are people that we like our country, and we like to live there. So when we started to move around the world, I guess these associations came. And we are all connected, we all help each other, we all, okay, we did this work over here, maybe we can do that. The other thing that we do is we do protests, and we do walk-ins, or around the world all together on the same day. So many of the countries are all involved into what.
So you faced hardship when you came to Austin and when you started living in Texas. Would you say that the aim of the AVA is to help others with this hardship?
Right.
Right. Mm-hmm. All right. Are there any other aims to the AVA?
There are some other groups, yeah. If you have a different characteristic, if you want to help in a different way, then you can always create your own group. I mean, we're not a dictators. So, but we are a reference, definitely. So there are some other groups. One is just to have fun. The other one maybe would go more in a political way. The other one, and then, I mean, they always ask us, that's true, because as a reference, we're here, right? The Austin Venezuelan Association was founded in 2002. So it is quite a while already.
All right. So what kind of activities does the AVA engage in to achieve its goals?
We do like gatherings, like I said, we do gatherings. We participate in every activity that any Venezuelan would like to do. They give us a call, they tap on our door, let's say, and hey, we have this idea, do you think that you can support us doing like media ads or telling everybody, and we do that. Do you think that you can help us funding this way, and that's how we help out over here. And the other way that we help is we send food and not perishable food, clothes, shoes, medical supplies that we can gather and people will donate to us, to Venezuela, to different institutions or foundations over there, to help out a little bit, to chip in with something, at least to get, so people can actually eat something. There is a lot of poverty right now.
All right. Well, you're doing a lot of great work.
Yeah, so we like that. We like to do that, and every time that we do a gathering or we do an activity, usually there is bring something to donate. So we don't say no to any donation that anybody would like to give up, give it to us.
So what do you think the most, I guess, notable or interesting thing, what do you think that is during your time with the Austin Venezuelan Association?
What is it that...
I don't know, what stuck out in your mind the most?
I recently just became to be like active part of the Austin Venice, like 2 years or 3 years ago. Because before I was more involved with the school, with the kids and everything. So what is stuck the most is that people like what we're doing, and they actually say thank you, because if it wasn't for this association or with this group of people that we try to help out, they get somewhere and they don't know what they're doing. And that is exactly the vision that we have. We want to gather all the Venezuelans. We want to help out. We want, okay, this is what it is that you need to do in order to adapt better to what the life in Austin or in the United States is.
Right. All right, so circling back a bit, I want to talk a bit more about Venezuela. What steps do you think the Venezuelan government could take to fix the current crisis?
I'm not an expert, I have to say, and this is just what I can read or gather as an information from experts. They do need to let the international help go into Venezuela. That's one thing that the government is denying all over. There is a lot of countries that they would like to help out. And one of the reasons why the countries want to help Venezuela, it's because Venezuelans, we are made out of people that went to Venezuela, and Venezuela received them for instance, from Europe. There is a lot of Spaniards, a lot of Italian, a lot of French, German people in Venezuela that they could live better lives than in their countries. There is a lot of people from Chile, from Colombia, from Argentina that went to Venezuela when those countries were not in a good situation, and Venezuela gave them like a home and how to and a way to live better of what they were having in their countries. So now those countries are able to help out Venezuelans with this problem that we're having. And the best way would be, first, to let these countries to help out. Second, the government needs to change this. Maduro needs to go out, because there's nothing that is going to be done with this mentality in the government. And third, it will be rebuild everything. They have destroyed everything, the oil infrastructure, the coffee, cocoa, as I was saying before. It's a very important source of money into the country. There is a lot of things that it can be done. It's a rich country on the way that the people knows how to work the soil. The people know they have very good engineers and everything, and that's why the countries around the world are getting right now all the good people, all the good brains from Venezuela, very well prepared, are flying away from the country. So that would be the other thing that it would be necessary to build up the country again. These people need to come back and rebuild and start to work over there, the same thing that they're doing outside.
All right. Do you think there's hope for the people of Venezuela?
I do think so. I think hope is always there. I think that there's only need of a little more push, and the government should be out. Gunz. But But yeah, no, I think it is. There is hope because, as I said, I mean, Venezuela has the basement, like the foundation in Venezuela. It should be able to rebuild again everything that it was, because it did it once. I mean, it was a very, like I said, very a country very developed with a lot of culture. For instance, the culture in Venezuela was very, very good. Everybody needed to go to Caracas, which is Venezuela's capital, to say, okay, this is where I'm gonna build up all my career and those type of things. So I do think that it's hope. I think Venezuela can be what it was again, just if these people, which I think these people basically what they are is they're just selfish, and I don't understand that mentality, so I can't explain very well.
Oh, that's all right. Well, Elizabeth, thank you for sitting down with me.
Thank you for the interview. Thank you for the interest of what is it that the Venezuelans are. There are, right now, when we moved here, there weren't any Venezuelan restaurants. Right now, we have at least 3 trucks. So I think slowly, unfortunately, because of this problem, Venezuela is being known in the world. But thank you for the interest.
Awesome.
I always think that it's good that everybody knows what's going on.